Welcome to Circular Knitting Technology course. Today we will have a discussion on loop formation sequences of different types of needles which are using in the knitting technology. So this topic is related to completely loop formation sequences. So we have three different types of needles, like one is called as latch needle, second one is spring worded needle, and third one is compound needle. Apart from these three, we have another needle that is called as patented needle. We will discuss all these three as well as the fourth one, the latest one of the needle, and how this loop formation is going to be happen by using these four types of needles in the knitting technology process. So in last sessions we have discussed about how the knitting machines are classified. That is nothing but the classification criteria for the knitting machines and the classification of various types of knitting machines, how we have classified the knitting machines as per the diameter concern. Particularly we have seen here the circular knitting machines, how these circular knitting machines are classified into diameter concern as well as the needle bed type or number of needle beds we are using in the circular knitting machine. So as per the basis of diameter and needle bed, we have seen the classification, and in the previous sessions along with this we have seen that what are the structure or what is the basic structure of large diameter circular knitting machines, and as well as we have seen that what are the yarn feed systems are. Like feeding, nothing but like we have a creel type and yarn feeders and the thread guides which we are using in the circular knitting technology, we have seen in the last sessions. Today in specific that what are the different types of needles we are using in the circular knitting machine or in the knitting machine or in the knitting technology, what are the different types of needles we are using, and how and what is the procedure for the making of loop, new loop through the old loop, how the needle is moving. We will see that what is the stitch formation sequence or loop formation sequence of these three types of needles we are using in the knitting machine or knitting technology. So here is I have given the different types of needles we are using in the knitting machine. You can see here the needles are the most important stitch forming element. So needle is an element. So already in the previous sessions I have discussed about what are the elements in the knitting machine is specifically the loop formation, which is like the elements which are involved in the loop formation sequence are, first one is cylinder, needle, cams and sinkers. These are the few elements which are majorly very important to make the loop formation sequence or to make the new loop. So this is a needle is one of the major element or important element to form the loop. Without the needle it is not possible to make the loop. So they are displaced vertically, so the needles are moving up and down. So this displacement nothing but the movement of the needle is up and down, so that when the needle is moving up, so already the loop which is formed in the needle stem is going to be cleared and the new yarn will be fed to the needle hook and the new loop is going to be formed with the help of needle and latch mechanism. So this is the about the needle type, and the first needle type is a latch needle, and the second type is called as the spring burden needle, and the third one is the compound needle, and we have one more apart from the compound and latch needle and spring burden needle and compound needle, we have that is fourth one, that is patented needle, as I already enlisted. So now you can observe this image where you have different needle types and what are the different parts of the needles. You can observe here I have given three different types of needles. One is latch needle, second one is spring-butted needle, and the third one is compound needle. What are the parts available in the knitting element or latch needle is, first one is from the top side. We are coming from the top side. So you can see here from top on the latch needle, hook part, latch, then stem and the bud. So we will clearly discuss, if you have seen that the beside the figure where you can see that bud and the bud height, back yarn, stem, pin and the blue part, cheek part where the latch is available, and hook with latch and the rib. So specifically, if we talk, the latch is riveted on the cheek part of the needle stem. So this is the different parts. These are different parts in the latch needle. So if you come into the spring-butted needle, it's similar to the latch needle, but without the latch. So there is no latch here in the spring-butted needle. So there is a part, and the budded part is acting as like a spring. So the bird part, the hook is going to be closed and opened with the help of an external element, that is buzzer bar, so that the hook part, the birded part is going to be closed when the buzzer bar is activated onto the bird part of the needle hook, so that the needle hook is going to be closed and the yarn is going to be trapped, the newly fed yarn is going to be trapped inside the hook of the bird part, and the loop formation can be occurred. So here there is no latch, only this bird part or hook part which is having the bird is going to be act as a spring when the pressure bar is activating on the bird part, so that it will close and it will come back to its original position. And the stem and the butt is common. So these are the different parts which are available in the spring-butted needle. And the third one is compound needle. So the compound needle, if you see here, there are two elements, there are two parts. One is tongue part is separate and the needle hook part is separate. Needle hook and the stem, everything is separate, and tongue part is separate. That is tongue nothing but you can also call it as closing element of the needle. So compound needle is having hook, stem as well as the separate tongue part which is having nothing but tongue part is nothing but also called as a closing element of the compound needle. So this closing element, after the newly fed yarn feed to the needle hook, this closing element or tongue part is going to close the wrap the newly fed yarn in between the tongue part and the hook part. So these are the different types of needles we are using in the knitting technology. So we will see one by one what are the loop formation sequences which generally are forming the new yarn or new loop through the old loop. Okay. So now we will see here loop formation sequence of latch needle. So basically this loop formation sequence of latch needle is, the sequence is consisting of 5 different steps. So first step is running step, clearing step, feeding and knocking over and loop. So once again I am repeating the sequences, 5 sequences. One is running, clearing, feeding, knock over, loop. These are the 5 different steps or sequences to form the loop through the whole. So this is the loop formation sequence. Now what is happening in the loop formation sequence? So how the needle is going to be raised and lower down, raised up and lower down. having the butt part. So this butt is going to follow the track of the cam. So if the cam is having a track which is rising position, so now what is happening? We are rotating the cylinder. On the cylinder tracks we have a needle. So if the cylinder is rotated, along with the cylinder our needle is also going to rotate. So here what is happening is, so the needle is going to be inserted or kept inside the price of the cylinder, and the butt of the needle will be projected outside. Now the cam is going to fix the against to that, so that what will happen once the cylinder is rotating, if the cam is having the groove, so the needle butt is going to follow the cam part. So this is how the needle is going to be raised up. If the cam is having like a rising position, like this angular position, so that what will happen? Our needle butt is going to follow the same cam drive. So what will happen? The needle is going to be raised. Nothing but this is how this is going to be raised. Now if it is in the after rising up, again it is lowering. Again rising up. So rising up, lowering down, rising up, like that the needle is going to be going to follow the cam. Now what is exactly the running? Is running nothing but our needle is going to follow the same path. There is no movement up and down. There is no movement. It is not rising up or lowering up. It is just following. So here in the loop formation sequence, the start is the running position. It will go up to a certain place. Then we have a clearing position. Now our cam is like an angle. Okay. So that once the needle is rising up, right? Needle is running, then slowly it is going to rise up. So once it is rising up, you can see the second image. Once it is rising up, the whole loop which is there on the needle stem and on the top of the needle latch, which is going to be cleared. Nothing but whole loop is cleared from the latch. The second step, once again I am repeating, the second step, needle is rising. So once the needle is rising, whole loop which is there on the top of the latch of the needle is going to be cleared from the latch. So the whole loop is cleared from the latch. This is happening in the step number 2. Now in the third step, what is happening is we are feeding the yarn with the help of thread beds. Already we have discussed yarn feeders are there. Then from the yarn feeders, the thread is going to be passed through the thread guide. Thread guide is just beside of the needle. So after clearing, after complete rising, once it is starting to move or starting to form the new loop, that time we are going to feed the yarn to the needle. Okay. So in the third step, what is happening? We are feeding the yarn. So in the second step, the whole loop is cleared from the latch, and in the third step, we are feeding the yarn to the needle loop. So after feeding, nothing but when we are feeding, when the needle is starting to lower down. So it is just starting to lower down, that time we are feeding the yarn. So after feeding, slowly the needle is going to be knocking over, nothing but again lowering down, so that the whole loop, so what is happening? The whole loop is going to push back the latch, so that the latch is going to be closed the hook part. Now the newly that yarn is trapped in between the latch and hook in the fourth stage. So once again I am repeating, in the fourth stage, whole loop is going to push backward to the latch, so that the latch is going to close the hook part. So once it is closed, the newly cut yarn is trapped in between the hook part and the latch of the needle. Okay, then it goes on pulling, so that is loop pulling happening. pulling need to vary. So for example, if we want to increase the stitch length, more stitch length or more loop length, nothing but loop size more. So if we want more loop size, then we need to pull the needle more and more, so that more yarn, more amount of yarn will be consumed to form the needle, so that the loop length is going to be increased. So this is how it is happening. So again, I am repeating the 5 steps. First step is running step, then clearing nothing but the whole loop is cleared from the latch. Then in the third step, yarn feeding. When the yarn feeding is happening, then the needle is started to lower down. Then in the fourth stage, we have, like in the old loop is going to close the latch, so that the new yarn, whatever the newly fed yarn to the hook is there, it is going to be trapped in between the latch and hook part. Then the loop will. So these are the 5 different stages of loop formation sequence of latch needle. We will see a small animation on how the loop formation is going to happen with the help of latch needle, and how this latch needle butt is going to be followed in the camera. You can observe here the needle is slowly rising up, so that the old loop is cleared from the latch, and the newly we are feeding the new yarn to the hook, and after feeding slowly the needle is lowering down, or when the needle is lowering down, slowly we are yarn feeding, then loop pulling can occur. You can see this. So this is the about the loop formation sequence of latch needle is. Now we will go for the next one, that is spring-birded needle loop formation sequence. So here you can observe here there are total 7 number of steps or 7 number of images which are shown in the screen. You can see the first step, running position. So don't forget, the basic loop formation sequence is needle has to rise up, newly the yarn need to feed, and we need to close the hook part so that the newly fed yarn is going to be trapped. After that, loop pulling. So these are the basic points you need to remember. So in any kind of needle, these are the basic steps. Apart from that, the other element which is going to be activated or deactivated depends upon the needle type we are using. So here in the spring-birded needle case, you can see the first one where the running is. So running nothing but the needle is just it is in the same position. There is no clearing or something is happening. Now in the second case, you can observe that the needle is slowly rising up, so that the old loop or already formed loop on the stem which is going to be slowly lowered. Nothing but the needle is rising up. And in the third step, after complete rising, we are feeding the yarn. So after complete rising, we are feeding the yarn. Then we are going to lower down the needle. Slowly we are going to lower down the needle. So now what is happening is, here there is no latch. So in the case of latch needle, what is happening? The old loop is going to push back the latch, so that the latch is going to close. Nothing but the latch needle, you can also say that that is called as a self-acting needle. Self-acting needle. So because without an external element, the hook part is going to be closed with the help of latch. How the latch is going to be operated? Latch is going to be operated because of the old loop. Once the old loop is clearing down, now when the clearing down is happening, the loop is going to push down the latch, complete clearing. So the old loop is going down the latch part. Then when the needle is lowering down, what will happen? The already formed old loop is there on the bottom side of the latch, so that this old loop is going to push back again the latch to close the hook part, so that the newly fed yarn is going to be cracked. But here in this case, what is happening is, once the needle is lowering down slowly, now there is no latch part. So we required an external element that is called as a pressure bar. For pressure bar, we need to close the birded part, spring birded part. So now in the fifth image, you can observe that there is an element which is acting on the birded part. So that element name is called as the pressure bar, which is just pressing the spring birded part of the needle. Now what is happening is, if you observe, when the loop is landing on the part of the birded part of the needle, so when this old loop is coming to land nothing but to touch the birded part, that is called as a loop landing. So after loop landing, this pressure bar is going to be operated or affected on the spring birded part. Now the spring birded part is closed. Now the newly fed yarn is trapped inside the hook part. So now it is closed. So after loop landing, slowly the needle is lowering down. Once it is lowering down, because of the pressure bar is closed, till the touching of this old loop into the pressure bar is in activation. Then continuous lowering down. Now the pressure bar is going to move back, so that the old loop is going to clear and the new loop is going to be pulled down or knocking over through the old loop. So this is happening in this spring birded needle sequence. Now here we need to remember, or we need to understand how this pressure bar is activating on the needle birded part, spring birded part of the needle. So this is the major point where the loop is landing, loop is clearing from the in between the pressure bar and the needle part of the spring birded part of the needle, and it is clearing completely. Then the loop pulling or knocking over is going to happen. So these are the different steps of loop formation sequence of spring birded needle we are using in the knitting process. Now you can see here a small animation of spring birded needle, how it is activated and how the loop formation is happening by using spring birded needle. Now in third type of needle, that is loop formation sequence of a compound needle. Loop formation sequence of a compound needle. So here again you can see that, you can observe here first step. There are 5 steps in the loop formation sequence of compound needle. So the first step is run in position. So run in position nothing but, so the old loop is not clear or it is on the needle stem and the closing element part. Now in the second stage, where when the needle is rising up, complete rising up, so after rising up, the clearing nothing but the old loop is again lowering down on the stem. Nothing but the old loop is still it is coming, because nothing but the loop is not going down. Only what is happening, the needle is rising up. Due to the needle rising up, we can say that the old loop is going down. Okay, so which is going to be activated? Needle is going to up and down. Nothing but needle is going to rise up and lower down. So after rising up and when just it is starting to lower down, we are going to feed the yarn onto the needle hook. Then after that, in the third step, loop landing is happening. So now what is happening is, once the needle is continuously lowering down, there is a closing element which is going to be activated, so that the closing element or throat part of the needle is going to close the hook of the needle. Now the newly fed yarn is trapped inside the throat part, or needle. Now in between the closing element as well as the hook part of the needle, your newly fed yarn is trapped. After trapping it, slowly both the elements, nothing but one is needle hook and the closing element, both are going to be lowered down, so that is the process of, that is called as the process of knocking over. And after knocking over, slowly again the needle is going to pull the loop, so that we can maintain the loop length by loop pulling, by varying the loop pulling. So again you can observe that in the first case, that is latch needle sequence, that what are the different steps. So same steps like running, clearing, yarn feeding, knocking over, loop pulling. So here also you can see that loop formation sequence of compound needle: running, feeding and clearing, loop landing or landing of the loop, knocking over, then loop pulling. These are the 5 basic steps in the compound needle. So these are the 3 different types of needles or sequence of needles which are generally used in the knitting process. Now you can observe here a small animation on compound needle loop formation. How the loop formation is happening with the help of compound needle and the closing element, how it is going to be closed or trapped the yarn inside in between the closing element and the hook part of the needle is shown. This is a patented needle which is developed by Grossbecker, where there is no need of feather bar or closing element or latch on these type of needle. Here in an overall, this session we have discussed about what are the different types of needles we are using in the knitting technology or in the knitting machines, and what is the loop formation sequence of all 3 types of needles, and the 4th one also we have seen that what is the patented needle and how it is the loop is going to be formed or loop formation is going to be occurred by using the patented needle also we have seen. Once again I am repeating, what is we have learned from this session is the loop formation sequence of latch needle, loop formation sequence of spring burden needle, loop formation sequence of compound needle. We have seen and we have understood that what is and how we can form the loop by using these 3 types of needles in the knitting process. Now out of these 3 types of needles, we are going to use the maximum number of weft knitting machines. We are going to use latch type of needle for the knitting process. So in an overall, out of these 3 process or 3 different types of needles, latch needle is generally preferable for the circular knitting machines or the weft knitting machines we are using in the present scenario. So latch needle is generally used for weft knitting machine. And first, when the invention to the like hand knitting to the frame knitting or hand knitting to the first frame knitting which is developed is first used by the spring burden needle. So we can also use the spring burden needle in the weft knitting process. Okay. Now this is about the loop formation sequences of different types of needles used in the knitting process. Thank you. Thanks for listening.